All right, so today we're going to talk about changing your front caster. When you do change your front caster, you want to make sure you change the bearings too. When you get them from Vesco, they're going to come as a caster and bearing assembly. Also, if you go out and buy your own, you want to make sure that you're running the same size caster. This is a 72 mil, and the chair is set up for those casters, and you're toe in, toe out. So if you do change the size of that, it could affect the way your chair pushes down the court. So on taking the caster apart, it's a 1/2 inch wrench on each side, pull the nut out, and then once you get the nut out, you're going to pull the bolt out. There's going to be 2 washers in there. There's a spacer in between the bolt and the caster to keep the caster centered. So make sure you keep those spacers because they're going to be going back in. So once you get that off, pull that caster out and then just reassemble it as you came. So just make sure that you have the spacers on both sides. If you do get to a point where your caster's good and you have to change the bearings do just pop out with a simple screwdriver and just twist up on them, just like we did right here, and the bearings will pop out and just push your new bearings in. There is a little spacer in between the bearings. It's nice to have that in there, just so when you do tighten down everything down, that it doesn't crush the bearings, that helps the bearings seat properly. You can see that he has the fork at an angle, and part of that just makes it easier to get the spacers back in. With the fork like this right here, it gets a little bit tricky trying to get that spacer in. You end up needing 3 hands. And there you go, you got a brand new caster on. Tighten it back up. Make sure when you do tighten it, even with those spacers in there, you want to make sure it spins freely. And because if you do over tighten it, it could spin, but spin really slow. So just back off the nut and make sure that you have a free spinning caster to maximize your speed.